The prehistoric times, the age when giant bugs, not just colossal reptiles, ruled the world. Dragonflies the size of seagulls thrived 300 million years ago, probably alongside other mega-sized insects and arachnids yet to be discovered. The question now is this: is insect gigantism really a thing of the past? Is it possible that these giant animals are still among us? Some believe that in the remote parts of the world's jungles, these gargantuan creatures still do exist, evading the eyes of scientists and unleashing horror on the natives. Only this time, they are not flying and gliding midair, but scuttling with 8 legs. These stories, straight from the far-out forests and countrysides, are absolute breakthroughs beyond every person's imaginations. 1. Kokoda Trail, Owen Stanley Ranges, Papua New Guinea, 1940s. Papua New Guinea's Owen Stanley Ranges, an ecological treasure of the Asia-Pacific region, home to over 4,000 species of plants and animals, including several local endemics and critically endangered species. Its floral diversity even exceeds that of North Queensland's tropical rainforests. Its rugged terrains and deep cave systems are a paradise for thousands of creatures, from wallabies and butterflies to finches and bowerbirds. Some of its deepest regions are so distant from civilization that they haven't been seen and touched by humans. The world-famous Kokoda Track passes through Owen Stanley's mountains and has captured the attention of tourists far and wide. It is heaven for the adventurous. For many of them, trekking Kokoda Track is the most special aspect of their Owen Stanley Range adventure. The Kokoda Track is the location of the historic Kokoda Track campaign, the Second World War's Asia-Pacific theater that happened between July 21st to November 16th, 1942. It was a series of battles between Japanese and Australian troops in what was then the Australian territory of Papua. Jackson, an Australian traveler who blogs at JourneyEra.com, called the modern-day Kokoda Trail one of the toughest multi-day treks in the world. A single-file foot throughfare within Stanley Range, it stretches through the 96-kilometer path, 60 kilometers of which is a straight path. Hiking the trail usually takes 4 to 12 days, with the fastest recorded time at 16 hours 34 minutes. Here are some of the photos he took while trekking in 2019. It was an exemplary adventure in the company of nature. In the 1940s, however, the jungle was a harbinger not of enthusiastic and fun trips, but danger and struggle. Apart from the horrors the war brought, menacing 8-legged creatures seemed to emerge, threatening those who were already suffering from the battles. In 2001, Australian cryptozoologists Peter and Debbie Hines revealed a story that rivaled even the most horrific battles. The account came from the father of one of Debbie's friends, who was then serving as an Australian Army soldier. He said that while he was answering the call of nature, he suddenly found himself in a supersized web spread all over the tree trunks and shrubs in the forested area. The silk didn't look like a fishing net at all. It was cottony, soft, and fine, and was extraordinarily extensive, spanning 10 to 15 feet in all directions. The most menacing part: the spider was only around a foot from his face. He described the arachnid as jet black and the size of a small dog or puppy. Its body was bulky, with thick, hairy legs. This is far from the form of the Hudson spider, one of the biggest spiders on the planet, that owes its big size to its long legs. It appears that the mystery spider was the size of a full-grown chihuahua. The army soldier was lucky not to get attacked. From his position, he backed out carefully and fled to safety. Was this merely a product of the man's imagination? This is not the only report of a huge spider sighting in Papua New Guinea during the war. Around 2012, cryptozoologist Rob Morphy's appearance in Coast to Coast AM, a late-night radio talk show, gave way to a controversial telephone interview. The caller, named Craig, told the story of how his grandfather, who was then serving in the war, saw a giant emerald green spider, measuring around 3 feet from tip to tip. It's not hairy compared to other big spiders. The encounter scared the old man so much that he killed the creature using a machete. The incident happened in Port Moresby, the capital of Papua New Guinea, which is 81.5 kilometers from the Kokoda Trail. War and spiders, the most unlikely, potentially deadly combination. Did the noises and squabbles of the fight force them to come out of their subterranean tunnels? 2. Vietnam, the 1950s to 1970s. Wartime Vietnam, a battle commanded by nature. Soldiers on both sides endured the difficulties posed by the terrain and climate of the Southeast Asian nation. Endless jungles, impenetrable bushes, booby traps after booby traps, torrential rain, and constant heat. Dangerous animals also aggravated the already dreadful situation. In jungle warfare, no creepy crawler is too big or too small. Weaver ants, giant centipedes, forest scorpions, and king cobras proved that not all enemies carry guns. Americans were advised to just consider all snakes around the jungle as deadly. Ants pestered sleeping, resting combatants from both sides. Centipedes bit even the wounded and dying ones. The soldiers were already injured even before they faced death by any new form of weaponry. In another perspective, these creatures in their natural home suddenly found themselves in the middle of a bloody fight. Disturbed and agitated, they came out to bedevil the jungle's guests. Decades after the Vietnam War, an unusual story suddenly surfaced. This time, it wasn't about snakes, ants, or centipedes. It was bigger, rarer, with bigger legs. On the 8th of April 2013, American cryptozoologist Greg Woolheater shared the Cryptomundo platform a message that he received from an American correspondent with the username Mr. Maxima. The person recounted the experience of his father-in-law while serving in the Vietnam War, presumably in the 1950s to 1970s. He was fulfilling his scout work when he saw big spiders with legs a span of up to 30 inches. The man said that they were so tough that even after being shot by M16s, they were still alive and moving. The world's biggest spider by leg span is the giant huntsman spider. But other types of huntsman spiders live in the other warm regions all over the world, including in Vietnam. Undeniably, in the deeper forests of Vietnam linger bigger, creepier creatures. 3. Congo, 1938. Do Congolese giant spiders, locally called Japa Fofi, really exist? Those living outside the forests of Congo easily dismiss their spine-chilling existence, but for locals, these spiders thrive among them. Each day is a period of rough existence. In 2001, Bill Gibbons, a cryptozoological explorer, shared with his fellow cryptozoologist Dr. Carl Schucker a story that happened back in 1938. That fateful day, explorers Reginald and Marguerite Lloyd were traveling the Congo's jungle path by car when, without warning, a weird creature stepped out of the path ahead of them. Initially, they thought it was just a monkey trying to pass. However, when Reginald stopped the vehicle to let the animal pass, he was able to take a closer look. It wasn't a monkey or another man. It was a gargantuan spider that looks very much like a tarantula, only it has a leg span of 3 to 4 feet. Just as he was about to grab his camera, the spider scuttled into the bushes. He just missed the opportunity of a lifetime. It was a very short, old story with little details. It happened in 1938 in the jungles of the Belgian Congo. The time of European exploration and exploitation. The time when Belgians explored Congo and ventured into its rainforests, specifically Congo Basin. The Congo Basin is the world's largest river basin. Its vast drainage stretches through the entire Democratic Republic of Congo, Western Zambia, Central African Republic, Northern Angola, and some parts of Tanzania and Cameroon. The swamps, wild animals, and other jungle challenges made exploration hard for Europeans, but they succeeded. They were able to explore and exploit Congo's forests and its rich resources. Thankfully, Congolese jungles endured the misdeeds. When Gibbons went on an expedition in Cameroon in November 2003, they mentioned the 1938 spider encounter of the Lloyds to the Baka Pygmies. Turns out, the existence of this spider is no longer a mystery for them, sort of. Mega-sized arachnids were once prevalent in the forests. Sightings now, however, became rarer and rarer for some unknown reasons. According to the locals, one of the most recent encounters was reported last June 2003. Locally called Jaba Fofi, these big spiders are said to dig tunnels near trees and bodies of water, and then hide their nest entryways using huge leaves. Locals claim that spiderlings have purple and yellow abdomens. As they mature, their colors darken. They are said to be big and venomous enough to kill humans. They spin strong webs between huge tree trunks and ensnare prey bigger than them. No Jaba Fofi specimen has so far reached the hands of science. However, in March 2013, a controversial video of an alleged Jaba Fofi surfaced. It was footage from a night vision camera caught near a waterhole beside a tree in Mozambique. The creature can be seen moving from 39 to 46 seconds near the tree's bottom leaves. It almost evaded the lens, but even from the dark screen, you can see its legs looming. 4. Venezuela. Stories of giant spiders in Africa, Asia, and South America are widespread, but scientific experts are still skeptical. Some of them, though, are giving it a chance. One of them is Rick C. West, a Canadian arachnologist. He is one of the leading tarantula experts in the world and is determined to prove the existence of oversized spiders. West has been fascinated with tarantulas since childhood. Apart from producing documentaries, he has traveled to more than 27 countries to study and document arachnids in their natural habitat. Well, he is hungry for more spider hunting trips. In 2008, he headed to the Venezuelan rainforest for a 3-day expedition. He first went to jungle villages near the Orinoco River, near the Colombian border. In San Rafael de Manuere, a villager told him that as a child, he had seen a gigantic, tarantula-like spider capture a small dog and drag it off into the deeper part of the forest. The man said that the spider's abdomen is as big as a basketball. If a creature like this really exists, its fangs would be a whopping 6 to 9 inches long. Quite unbelievable. Juan Carlos Ramirez, an experienced Amazon guide and West's companion during that expedition, also believes that these big spiders exist. He had been working in that region for 2 decades now, and he knows that the natives wouldn't mistake any other animal for a huge spider. Clearly, there is nothing like it. Pandari, the next village they visited, lies deeper in the forest mountains. It was here that natives Antonio and his son Simone spoke to West about a kid whose disappearance had been blamed on giant spiders. To keep the giant creatures out, they specifically engineered their huts to have tightly interwoven barricades. On their 3rd and last day, they found a massive spider web on the ground. With the help of a videoscope, a tool allowing experts to view the interiors of hard-to-reach areas, they found out that the owner of the lair is a huge tarantula. It was a wonderful find, but absolutely nothing like the gargantuan specimen feared by the locals. Unfortunately, the expedition yielded no conclusive evidence of the fabled arachnid's existence. West still believes, though, that such spiders truly exist. After all, the Goliath bird eater is native to Venezuela. This tarantula is the biggest in the world by mass, weighing around 6 ounces and with a leg span of nearly 12 inches. 5. In the suburbs of Leesville, Louisiana and Nottingham, London, 1948 and 2002. The American and British suburbs. Some areas are so remote, even for the most persistent neighborhood busybodies. Nothing baffling or mysterious, just a peaceful, relaxing life outside the metropolitan space. But a surprise in the suburbs turned up in 1948 when a man named William Sladen saw a mysterious creature while walking along Highway 171. Stretching 177.44 miles, US Highway 171 is part of the United States numbered highway system and the only one located entirely within the Louisiana state. Between the metropolitan regions at each terminus, the highway also passes through smaller cities like Leesville. Sladen said he was walking along to church one evening with his 3 young grandsons and wife when they saw a huge, black and hairy spider emerging from the bushes on the other side of the road. He said the arachnid was the size of a washtub. The experience terrified him so much they never walked on the same path ever again. A gargantuan spider in the countryside. This wasn't the only reported sighting. The other one happened in Nottingham around 2002, as recounted by a man named Adam Bird on Facebook. The story was related to him by Sheila, a local librarian. Sheila was driving along Nottingham's Stonebridge Road when she saw a huge, hairy tarantula-like spider. One part of Nottingham Stonebridge Road is a farm, while the other side during that time was the location of an old demolished factory. The 8-legged monster crawled from the farm side, going to the disused factory site. According to Sheila's estimate, it has a total width of 2 feet, leg span included, a literal dinner plate. Terrified, she watched it scuttle across the road and crawl over the fence. Leesville and Nottingham have their own share of lush greenery, but nothing like small portions of rainforests. 1940s Leesville, the time of Sladen's sighting, was possibly greener, with more abundant bushes that can serve as nesting areas and hiding places. This is Leesville today from up above, lesser trees giving way to bigger residential spaces. In Nottingham, London, the farm Sheila recounted still stands and owns the area's most abundant piece of nature. Are the spiders still there? Giant spiders, horror creatures waiting to be unleashed by science. From the deepest and darkest forests, sighting locations became nearer and nearer to residential regions. The jungles are still home, But wherever you are in the world, don't be too complacent in your safe village. A quick walk or drive outside, or just a glimpse out of the window, may bring an 8-legged zoological surprise.